And we're going to get started. So hello, and welcome to the webinar, everyone. My name is Chris Lay, for those who don't know, and I am with the Virginia Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity. So thank you so much for joining us today. This is the physical and mental challenges of running your business webinar, and it's the second installment of our wellness series of workshops. This series really is intended for small business owners who face the challenges of running a business, balancing those family priorities while maintaining and achieving that spiritual calmness you need as a small business owner. Because running a business is hard, like hard. It has been especially hard this past 15 months. So hopefully this series will help you create a sense of wellness for you and for your business. Last week, we explored ways to maintain the work-life balance as a business owner because, as we all know, you don't clock out at 5 o'clock when you own your own business. You're always focused on, you're always working on your business, and it does really kind of take over your life. So today, Shana Edwards from Happy, Healthy, Well will help us identify and overcome the mental and physical challenges you face as business owners. So before I turn it over to Shana, a few housekeeping rules. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording along with the presentation will be sent out after the webinar. Secondly, if you have questions, please type them into your chat, and we will address all the questions during the Q&A portion after Shana's presentation. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Shana and let her get started. Let's learn ways to overcome physical and mental challenges.
Hi, everyone. I am, it's Shoshana is my full name. That's what I've been going by in my business, Shoshana Edwards. And I am going to start the presentation. Actually, hold on. I think I have to share my screen first. All right. Okay. Did I do that correctly, Chris?
Let's try it again.
All right, I'm going to try it one more time. Let's do this again. I'm going to present now. I'm going to entire screen. Let's go from the beginning. Are you all able to see it now?
Not yet. Right. It's coming.
All right, good. Okay, how are we?
So we're seeing your entire screen.
Okay, let me do this again. I think I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm sorry, everyone.
What type of charm?
Okay. All right. Let me go into it and.
There you go.
All right. Are we there?
Yes. Perfect.
All right. Wonderful. See, these are some of the things that might happen that can make you crazy. So I'm glad you're seeing. I'm staying so calm. Isn't that great? Okay. So this presentation is called Physical and Mental Health Challenges of Running Your Business, Becoming Your Best Self at Work, Home, and Beyond. So my name is Shoshana Edwards. I'm a health coach and the owner and founder of Happy, Healthy, Well. I'm also a health coach and a meditation teacher at Salamander Resort and Spa in Middleburg, Virginia. I am a writer and I am a mother of 4 children. Actually, let me go backwards and say 4 adults. They're 18 to 24, but all these years, that has been definitely a factor. Before I started this part of my life, I had 4 children by the time I was 30 years old. That was, I don't think I realized what that did to me mentally, but the way I dealt with it was I, would deal with my family and my life all day, and I just started gaining weight. I started eating. That was how I dealt with my life and my stress, was by overeating. And the highest weight at any point was 230 pounds. I was obese. I had joint pain, back pain. I was a binge eater. My hair was falling out at one point. The circles under my eyes were so deep. acne, stress, anxiety, bloating, brain fog, inflammation, and that's just some of that's just some of the things I suffered from. I would go to doctors here and there, and there was never anything that any doctor could help me with. They would give me medication, or they would give me creams, or they would give me referrals to talk to other professionals. And for 10 years or longer, nothing helped. I just continued to gain weight. My stress and my anxiety became worse, and I just broke down. My body and my mind were breaking down. The transformation for me started because I had always exercised, but had been really scared of trying CrossFit. That was just something for me that stood out in my life. And a CrossFit gym opened up near my house, and I took a chance on myself, and that started everything for me. I met a health coach at the CrossFit gym. Once I started going and started doing well with it, I started talking to people, and a woman offered to meet with me. I did not know she was a health coach. She took me to a Starbucks, and she started talking to me about what she did, and I felt obligated to sign on for 3 months. And that 3-month period of time changed my life. She gave me small changes in my personal life and small changes I can make in my eating. And over that 3 months, I lost 30 pounds and was inspired to apply for a year-long health coaching course. And during that time, COVID hit. So I spent that year of COVID taking classes and listening to all the ways that a person might want to, go about changing their lives, and small changes and eating and all of the things that I needed to know. And then the next step for me was opening my own business. And this is me before and me after. It's really hard for me to show the pictures of me before. I think I'm still it's a very sensitive place for me. I sometimes can't believe not only what I look like, but just remembering how bad I felt. And that picture in particular, I remember I was going out with a bunch of my lifelong friends, and I felt like I was the only person in the world that couldn't handle my life. And I felt like my weight was the visual to what I felt on the inside. And on the left is a picture that I let my daughter take of me when I had to start putting out pictures of myself having transformed. And I remember hating pictures. And the day that she took this picture of me, she was like, "Mom, you've never been so happy, with anyone taking a picture of you." Usually it was me either taking it or me saying, "Can you please not post that?" And, it was the first time I really just felt like I could just be in front of a camera and not really care anymore, because I knew what I felt like on the inside. And here's some more, of the many pictures that I have my children take of me so I can post them for my business. I still don't love taking pictures, and on the bottom is my happy, healthy, well. Sometimes I think we talk about physical and mental issues, but what does that mean? What does that look like in real time? Things, of course, like stress and anxiety, decreased energy levels. So, when you are feeling physically or mentally, when you're having a moment where you feel those types of challenges, your energy isn't the same. You have a hard time thinking straight. When you hear about things like lifestyle disease, which of course we've been hearing about so much over the past 15 months, lifestyle disease are conditions that come about because of the way that you're living your life. Altered sleep cycle, you're not getting the sleep that you need. Your mood, your hormones, low stamina, weakened immune system, not having the ability to know that your body is going to do the best it can for you to fight disease. Increased body fat and blood pressure, limitations in your daily living, inability to effectively communicate. And I think that's a big one. I know for me, there have been times in my life where I just felt so stressed and anxious and just had so many things. My eating was putting me in a place where I would wake up in the morning and not feel my best, or whatever it was going on in my life, my mindset. I just wasn't feeling my best. So when I was going out and trying to communicate with people, it wasn't in a way that was positive, and it wasn't in a way that they could understand me. So how do these issues affect us at work? So we all know what it's like to be at work and to either feel like one of these people or to be working with one of these people. Being at work isn't always the place that we want to be. It's not always, sometimes you get up that day and you have a million other things that you're thinking about, and being at work is hard, or something's happening at work and it makes you stressed out, and you want to be able to be the most effective business owner that you can be. You don't want to be someone who is hurried or impatient or stressed or tired. You want to be someone who is effective during the time that you are working. So how does good health contribute to career success? So I think when we think about success at work, we look at our resumes, our salaries, education, the training we've had, our title, or productivity. And of course, all of those things do matter. But really, success at work is achieved when you have the energy to do your work, and when you are positive in your thinking, and when you can get through the day without feeling like you need a nap or you need more coffee, when you have confidence and your mindset is positive and your mood is positive. And I'm going to give you an example of this. Yesterday, I spoke to a leasing agent. I've been looking at apartments with my son, and I spoke to this lovely young man who just had such an amazing attitude. And the time that we spent with him was so nice. It was just, he spoke about, so well about the apartment community he was showing, but also shared some personal things about his life. And in the end, I told him what a great job he did. And he told me that he worked at a call center at a lawn service. And he was actually scouted by somebody that he called to come and work at a leasing office, and had just been promoted to the manager. And all of that was not because of his resume or his education or his training. It was all because of his great attitude and his positive energy. And I just thought that was such a great example of how you really can achieve success just by being someone who is positive and feels good and can share that with other people. I just wanted to show this. This is a picture of Salamander Spa. I went to Salamander Spa with some of my friends a few years ago, and just thought it was such a lovely place. We had massages and we stayed overnight and we had dinner. And then when I went through my health coaching course, they kept telling us that we needed to figure out who we wanted to target, where we wanted to work. Do you want to work in a doctor's office? Do you want to work with businesses? And I remember in the back of my mind thinking, I wonder if I could do something at Salamander Spa. And over the few months that I was thinking about it, I just kept telling myself, I know I should go there. I know that's a place that I can find business. And I just drove there one day, and I walked in the doors, and I told somebody what I do, and they hired me. They hired me and said, we're going to give you one chance to come in and work as a health coach and speak to some of our guests. And it ended up just being something where, if nothing else came out of that experience, it's been a nice experience, and they ended up hiring me to do meditation classes. But the one thing that I learned walking into that Salamander Spa that day was, there was a time in my life where I felt like someone who I just didn't feel like I could walk into anywhere and accomplish anything. And I had to really work on my mindset over a period of time and tell myself that there's nothing I can't accomplish. And I knew walking in those doors, I kept saying, if I walk in and they don't want to hire me, that's okay. And by the time I walked in those doors, my mindset was, they're going to hire me. I'm going to do this. And they did. And it really taught me a lot about what I'm capable of. So I think that the power of telling yourself that there's nothing off limits. You can do anything. You can do anything you set your mind to. That actually is more powerful than anything. The steps that I believe everyone needs to create real change are the first is you need to figure out what areas of your life require change. And I'm going to show you something called the Circle of Life tool, where you can narrow down what it is that you need to be working on in your own personal life. Once you figure that out, you create goals surrounding the specific areas where you desire change. And you slowly implement routines that support your goals. So you don't just look at a goal and just take on that goal as is. You slowly implement small routines that support that goal until you get to a point where you've accomplished what you're looking to accomplish, but it doesn't happen overnight. One of the most important things that I think everyone has to do is you have to do things that make you feel uncomfortable. You have to face your fears, because nothing is ever going to change if you're in a comfortable place. Eating whole, nutritious foods that work to heal your body and mind is paramount. It's not everything. I think a lot of people look at healthy eating as a way to lose weight. I look at healthy eating as a way to keep your body and mind strong, to give you the energy you need, to help your, I don't just look at eating healthy as a way to cure your body. I also think that it heals your mind, it heals your brain. You have to embrace constant change and growth. Things will, the minute you get comfortable, something else is going to come along. And that's part of creating real change. And you also have to live in the moment. And that is something that I've learned through meditation. I was never someone who really knew how to meditate until I became a meditation teacher. And what I learned is that sometimes, instead of looking at what has happened in the past, and instead of looking at what your future holds, look at what's happening right now in this moment. Look at what you have. Look at all the amazing things that you have in your life right now, and be happy, because that is important. Okay, so here is the Circle of Life tool, and this is sort of the basis for what my health coaching training taught me. So when you're looking at your life, these are the things that you want to have in your life in a balanced way that are going to keep you able to, I guess, be balanced. I mean, these are the things that you want to look at in your life and you want to try to have in order to move forward in your life and have the things that you want. So you'll meet people a lot of times that are very spiritual or very religious, and that slice of their pie is the biggest slice of their life. Or like for me, for a long time, even though I was heavy and I had a lot of things in my life that I struggled with, I always exercised. Exercise and relationships were like my whole pie. I didn't really look at the rest of it. And I think that in order to have what you need in your life, you need to have balance in all of these areas. So we call this primary food. These are the primary things that you need: joy, spirituality, creativity, relationships, social life, education, home environment, home cooking, finances, career, health, and physical activity. And the rest of this presentation is going to be breaking down all of these things, because I think these terms, sometimes you look at it and, it doesn't really make sense unless you really look at what each of these terms means in your life. Secondary food is food. Food can either be a medicine to you or it can be your poison. Nourishment is going to support your entire life. So if you're eating something like, if your snack is an apple at 12 o'clock, your day, for the rest of your day, you're probably going to feel a lot better. Your body's going to feel a lot better than if in the middle of your day, your snack is a bag of pretzels and some coffee. You actually are what you eat. I know that before my skin was dull, my hair was falling out, I was falling apart. Now my skin is vibrant and my hair is full and I'm happy. And I think that I am a sum of the foods that I eat. I think that helps every aspect of my life. Lastly, being overweight is not an issue, it's a symptom. So, a lot of people feel that they can fix their life by trying to lose weight, but you really need to fix the reasons that you're gaining weight. It's not the issue itself. So if I were to give each of you a circle of life tool, I would ask you to put a dot for everything that you feel like you are doing really well with. I would ask you to put a dot towards the middle of the circle. So when I first started out, the middle of the circle dots for me would have been physical activity and relationships, because I have always had great relationships with my children, and I have good friends, and those are areas of my life that I didn't necessarily feel like I needed to work on. But things like creativity, my finances, my career, my health, I mean, all of those things were not so great. And it all varies at different times of your life. So, as you can see in this example, this person might want to work on spirituality first. They might want to work on physical activity first. But you sort of look at these areas of your life and you choose the areas that you really want to focus on, because you can't focus on all of it at once. So you take slices of this pie and you focus on those slices until you feel like you can move on to the next. You can't take it all on at once. So how can this help you as a small business owner? So, when you think about yourself running a business and everything it takes to run a business, do you feel like you have the energy you need to not only find success, but hold on to it? Because, no matter what your mindset is and no matter how healthy you eat, we all have really bad, difficult days, and we all face rejection. And it's not just about finding success, it's holding on to it during those difficult times. Can your body keep up with you? You've got all these great ideas and you have all these things you need to do, but is your body in a place where it can do those things? Do you surround yourself with people who make you better? At this point in my life, I really, it's not that I've gotten rid of all the old people, but I really try to meet people who bring new ideas into my life and who inspire me, because I think that's important. Do you take time in your day to listen to yourself? I always say that the person who has all of the answers is you, because it's your life. And when I work with people, I rarely have any answers for them, but I know how to help them find the answers within themselves. And that is really the most important thing for you to do, is not to ask other people or, consult with other people. If you can really take a moment and listen to what you already know, that's the best thing you can do for yourself. Do you have time in your day to do things that make you happy, that really have nothing to do with work, but really just have to do with your own personal happiness? Do you have a hobby? When I first started out, I writing or wanted to be a writer, and I ended up really finding that was a hobby that I loved, and it got me through COVID, to be honest, because there were a lot of days that were very hard and dark and lonely. Is there room for growth? There's always room for growth. There's always room for change. I don't think I will ever be 100% where I want to be, because I'm always going to keep trying to be better. And that doesn't mean I'm going to try to be richer or I'm going to try to be amazing. I just want to always know that there's room for change. When you're running your own business, can something wait until tomorrow? Do you care for yourself? Do you make that part of your day? Is caring for yourself something that is as important for you as everything else? And how do you feel? How do you really feel? Do you ever ask yourself that, when you're feeling these emotions that, like, you have to get something done, or you have to get home and do something for your family? Well, how do you feel? Because that actually does matter. So here is the circle of life tool in real time. What do those terms in the circle of life tool actually mean? So health. I already spoke, about what you eat matters. I do not eat all healthy food all day. Usually when I make a plate of food for myself, I'm going to give you an example of what I had for breakfast this morning. I made an egg. That for me was a healthy choice. I had an avocado with it. I made a few pieces of broccoli. And then I had some vegetarian sausage patties, because I love them. And I don't know if they are actually, they weren't the healthiest thing on my plate. That might not sound like an unhealthy choice to you, but I try to make my plate 80% really, really healthy, because it matters. Because now for the rest of the day, I know that I'm going to feel good. Treat your body as well as you treat your car. I always thought it was so funny with my ex-husband. He used to always get so worked up about the kind of oil that I would put in my car when I would get my oil changed. But, he would like eat Doritos. And I thought that was insane. Like here's this guy that just cares so much about his car. And he would make sure that everything he put in his car was the most expensive, but like what he put in his body didn't matter to him. Consider the ingredients rather than the nutrition label. When you are eating your food and you're looking at how many calories it has, or, all of the information that I think a lot of people focus on, look at the ingredients. I mean, what kind of chemicals are you eating? And if you don't know what something means on the ingredients label, Google it. You can find out very quickly if it's, if you're eating, let's say, pretzels, and I used to love eating pretzels, you can look at the nutrition label and see that there are tons of, not even pretzels, cookies, whatever it is you eat, there are tons of chemicals in foods. And if you want to know what you're eating, then as the consumer, it's your job to find out what you're eating. A lot of people don't like to drink water. Most people I know will say, well, I need to have something, like a vitamin water, or just something that has a little taste to it. But if you really want to become a healthier person and you really want to have that energy, water is a life force. It's what every single person needs. And it's not coffee and it's not tea and it's not vitamin water. It's just actual water with maybe a piece of fruit or a lemon squeezed into it if you need some taste. Get on the bag lunch bandwagon. Bring your lunch. I don't go out to lunch anymore at all. When my coworkers go out to lunch, I pack something, because usually when we're going out, there's going to be things in the food that I eat. As a treat, I'll do it. But for the most part, every single day I bag my lunch. And because I really want to be healthy, that's my priority. And little changes go a long way. It doesn't have to be everything at once. But if you're really focusing on your health and you just make small changes in your choices every day, eventually those little changes are going to become bigger changes. Exercise. Our bodies are not meant to be sedentary. If you're somebody who has a job or you're trying to run a business where you find yourself sitting, stand and move and make time in your day for that. Yesterday, I had to deliver something to someone that is a mile away, and I made the decision in very hot weather with cicadas coming at me to walk. And I was a little bit miserable and hot, but I decided that it was just too much sitting for one day. So it's important. It's as much for your mental health as for your emotional health. People talk a lot about mental health. I think sometimes people think that mental health is something like this person is depressed or this person has anxiety. I think we all have moments in our life. Of course, there's much more extreme cases, but we all have moments in our life where we suffer from some type of mental health issue. And the way to head that off is to do things like exercise. Every single day, you should be doing some kind of, if you're not exercising on a regular basis, then just take some kind of a walk. Make sure you're getting the sleep that you need, and do that every single day. And the more that you make that a routine, especially your sleep time, the better you're going to feel. Take in fresh air. Every single day, you should be taking in some kind of fresh air. If you're inside a lot, that air is life. It comes into you and it goes into your body, and it gives you, it's a lot of times people want to have like a cup of coffee to give them some, motivation to get through the rest of the day. Fresh air will do that too. Give your heart some love, give your heart, like that walking and that fresh air and that sleeping, that's all for heart health. When people end up having chronic heart conditions, so many people, it's the number one killer of, especially with women, is heart disease. Give your heart what it needs. Be preventative with that, and kill two birds with one stone. Go for a walk, get some fresh air, and drink some water when you get back. It doesn't have to be like all these things you do in a day. It can be like one thing that encompasses all of it. Social life. I have had to learn that there are people that are in my life to help me get through a period of time or a season of my life, and there are the people that will most likely be there forever. And you can't keep everybody, and it's really important to know the difference between the two. Make every single conversation in your life count, and authentically listen. I read something one time that said that when you're listening to someone, you're not actually listening to them. You're thinking about what you're going to say when they stop talking. And I have really had to learn a lot of times when someone is speaking to me, I have to stop thinking and actually listen to what they're saying. Because to be a health coach, I have to really hear what people are telling me. I can't be thinking about what I'm going to say next. And I think that that applies to every area of everyone's life. You always should be listening when someone's speaking. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Not everybody obviously has to be like-minded, but when I, as a health coach, meeting other people that are healthy, that exercise, that have a positive mindset, that helps me because there are days where I need that support, just like I have to be someone who gives that support. Sometimes I need it. Don't be afraid to move on from relationships that, maybe are toxic or aren't working for you, because what you really want in your life is you really want to surround yourself with good people. And when there are people that just don't, for whatever reason, work in your life, it's okay to move on from those relationships. Get comfortable with vulnerability. That's a really hard one because I know for me, I have a really hard time letting people know when I need help, asking people for help or crying to people when things hurt. And I think that when you are vulnerable, that's when real change happens. And that's when real friendships or real, even sometimes business relationships are built. And be your own best friend, because at the end of the day, there are some days, and I remember, I think I wrote this coming out of COVID. There are some days where you are all you have and you want to be a good friend to yourself. You want to be in a positive mindset and you want to be telling yourself good things and not focusing on the negative. Meditation, that is something that I have learned. When I first started meditating, I would do it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and I just really couldn't sit for any longer than that. And I thought that I was the worst meditator in the world. And then I learned that you don't need to be the best meditator in the entire world. You really don't. You just need to take a second and just be in your own thoughts. I did a blog one time where I talked about Donna, and Donna is the voice that I have in my head. I used to have a voice in my head that would tell me all the time all the things that I couldn't do. Like, for instance, CrossFit. I used to tell myself all the time that there was no way I could do CrossFit. And no one else said that to me. It wasn't like there was anyone else in my life that was telling me that I couldn't do things. I was telling that to myself. And one day a little voice said to me, when there was a CrossFit gym opening near my house, it said, "Why don't you just give it a try?" And I listened and I did it. And then I started listening to Donna more often because she was right. And she would say things to me like, maybe you should become a health coach. Maybe you should take this health coaching course you've heard about. Maybe you should, do whatever else that it was telling me to do. And that voice became louder and louder the more I listened to it. And now that voice, I hear it more often than not. Pair it with something that makes you happy. Meditation does not have to be you sitting with your legs crossed and your fingers touching and your eyes closed. You can go for a walk and you could just put your phone down, and that can be meditation. I consider meditation in the morning, for me, drinking a cup of coffee and looking out the window and not looking at my phone. Pop the bubbles. This is something that I talk a lot about in my meditation class. When you have thoughts coming at you that are negative, a lot of times I'll think about those thoughts as bubbles, and I'll put my finger up and I'll, like, in my mind, pop those bubbles, and they just disintegrate. Because, sometimes you have to just look at those thoughts as something that they're not real. Sometimes you just need to, get yourself back into the moment. Nature, again, is always a great place to find what you're looking for in meditation, which is peace. And there's no better time than now to start. If that's something that is just a faraway thought to you and you've always wanted to meditate tonight before you go to bed, or do it tomorrow morning when you wake up. The joy of life. If you ever saw that episode of Friends where Phoebe's running like a child and her arms are flailing, and that's joy. It's just living in just complete freedom and not caring what anyone thinks, and just skipping. Um, and just really taking in all that life has to offer, because it is all good, and take it all in, take in all of life, the good and the bad, because that is, that's part of growth. Even the bad moments are good ones, even my worst moments. I got divorced last year in COVID, packed my things, moved my house, had this crazy, like we all did, had this crazy year, and all of the bad moments contributed to all of it. I'm here now because of all of it. Take in the little things, because those little things are the things that are the most important. And let your joy spill into everything that you do. When you feel those joyous moments, let it spill into the rest of your life. Creativity. I had to really think about who I was when I was younger, when I was looking at what I wanted to do to really focus on that creative outlet. Because during COVID, when I didn't know what to do with myself and I thought about writing, I remembered that when I was in elementary school that I was a good writer. And that's what got me writing, which is funny because I don't even know, I didn't even think about it before that time where I sat and really thought about who I used to be. When I started writing and I first posted it, I couldn't have been more scared. But facing your fears is so important, because the worst thing that's going to happen is that you're going to do something something creative and someone else won't like it. But that's okay, because for me, putting it out there was one of the most important things I've ever done. Don't ask around. Don't ask people what they think. Don't worry about what people think. I remember the first time I wrote something, I sent it to my best friend and she gave me all this critique, and I didn't want it because I liked what I wrote. Give yourself some time. The things that you do in the beginning are not going to be the things that you do at the end. And even at work, things just improve all the time, but it's got to start somewhere. If you have talents, use them for good. Think about what your talents are and do, take advantage of who you are and what you have. Don't drink and post. So for me, I had to remember, you have to always remember that every single thing that you do, you have to be your best self before you put it out there. So for me, I remember being really scared, and my friend came over and she brought a glass of wine. And that night I got finally the motivation and the courage to post it. And the next day I was sick about the whole thing because I needed to be in a better place to do it. So be in the best place that you could be in before you share. Spirituality. What matters to you is what really matters. It doesn't matter what spiritual or whether it's religion. Those are the things that you're going to be focusing on. Sometimes for people, religion is religion, and some people it's really just about nature, and it's about, for me, I know that spirituality is really just about nature. I try to do everything that I do focusing on good. I mean, that's really the place that I try to start from. I do believe that there's no limits there. Anything is possible. And that comes from me believing that there is in the universe and in a higher power. And those are the things that I focus on when I go out in the world, and I believe in myself and I come from a positive mindset. You always have to have a why. The reason that I am a health coach is because I believe that if you do the things, if you eat healthy foods and you have a positive mindset and you focus on all of the things in the circle of life and take them step by step, I do believe that you can live a healthier life. And that's something that I want to share with other people. It's always better to give than to receive. It always does feel better at the end of the day to share than to get something back. And I feel like that, for me, that's my motivation. Home environment and home cooking. Focus on the beginning of the day and not the end of the day. So I try to do all of everything, all of my planning for my meals in the day come from the beginning of the day. Don't forget what really matters. You can't, in the beginning of the day when I'm really feeling healthy, at the end of the day, I can't just let all of that go. have an off switch. At the end of the day, I have to remember that I have to turn it off, and I have to be able to have maybe dinner with my children if they're home because they're older, or maybe I need to be able to go for a walk, but I can't work from morning until night. There are times where I have to do a lot in the beginning of with home environment and home cooking. There are things that I have to do like in the beginning of the week, so the end of my week is better. So like I'll do a lot of my like preparing in the beginning, and then towards like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, things are easier, but I'm more tired. And be your own boyfriend. I remember one time somebody told me that if you had someone at the end of the day that you came home and somebody gave you a beautiful plate of food, it would be so much easier than having to cook for yourself. And if you can do that for yourself, then you're giving yourself what you want from someone else, but you're giving it to yourself. So at the end of the day, no one's making me food. I'm making it for myself if that's what I need to do. But that's the way it should be. You shouldn't be waiting for someone else to do these things for you because you care about yourself that much. Small changes. I always try to turn lemons into lemon water. The first thing that I did for myself was I talked to someone who told me to drink a glass of lemon water every morning. And I did that for 2 weeks. And once I got that routine down, I turned to the next one. But making those kinds of small changes are what's really important. Do a meal overhaul. Look at your meal and just change. I mean, you change it around. You know, if there are certain things that you eat and you can make them a little bit healthier, then make them a little bit healthier, because those kinds of small changes are going to make the biggest differences. Be grateful in writing. Keep a gratitude journal. Write down the things that you're grateful for. Every single day, write 3 things down. Rub your own hands and feet. Put lotion on your hands and feet. Do things like that. It's the be your own boyfriend idea. Do those things for yourself because you deserve it. Don't wait for someone else to do those things for you. Use a tongue scraper. These are just the little things that I remember this health coach used to tell me to do. And I was like, what is a tongue scraper going to do? Well, what these things do is it's just like the lemon water. These are things that are small parts of my daily routine now that are like nothing. I don't even think about it. My health coach told me to buy a tongue scraper, so I did. I started using it every day. It actually has great benefits, and it's just part of my routine now. Make plans. Make plans that make you happy. Make plans with friends, or make plans with you and your children or your husband, or whatever it is that you need to do that's going to give you something to look forward to. And every time you add something to your life, subtract something. So if you're going to start doing something like using a tongue scraper, maybe subtract something, like try not to eat dairy, or, find something else that you could subtract from your life that's going to give you that balance. Facing fears. So imagine the thing in your life that you can't do or you're scared of, and try it. I haven't been on a plane in a very long time, and I made plans to get on a plane in the next few months. So, I'm trying every single month to do something that has been scaring me. And that's the same with business. Do those things. Speak your truth. Really figure out what is your truth. Not something you're doing for someone else, but something that you're doing because you know that it's the right thing to do. And that is how you progress in your business. Don't overlook opportunities. Look at every one of them. That Salamander Spa thing, I never in a million years thought that I would get a job there when I went for a girls' weekend. Every single thing in life is an opportunity. Ask your best friend what she thinks. I do have a best friend or a neighbor, or, whoever it is in your life. I do run things by people in my life because I like having connections. And be easy on yourself. Not everything is going to be perfect all the time, and we all make mistakes. So here is some information about my business. Again, Shoshana Edwards, Happy, Healthy, Well. And I have a website you can visit, and my cell is on there as well. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Shauna. That was great.
Thank you, Chris, for asking me to do this. I appreciate it.
Well, when I met you, I heard your story. I'm like, this is a great story and a great idea behind your presentation and everything. I'm like, we need to share this with other people, other business owners, because you can't be the only one going through what you went through. I actually don't see any questions in the chat. I think you may have given people a lot to think about. There's still digesting it all. I did see that someone had their hand raised. Whoever it was, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question or your comment? Or does anybody else want to unmute themselves and ask a comment or a question?
Well, hi, Chris. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes.
It was hard for me to hear some of the things that the presenter said, but I really do appreciate the information that I heard. It's really basic, everyday information that you don't remember. So, I really appreciate the simplicity. So, I was just asking, had you gone to college at all? Do you have a degree in anything that pertains to what you're doing, or did you just say, hey, I'm going to just get certified as a health and wellness coach? Thank you.
Sure. I have a communication bachelor's and a master's in special education with a focus on teaching students that are blind and visually impaired. So that is what I had done before becoming a health coach. To go back and become and to get a degree, I would have to go into nutrition and or become like maybe a dietitian, or I could go into functional medicine. I don't believe in the nutrition guidelines that are set by the FDA. I actually think that they work against us. So I wouldn't go back and get my degree in something like that. If I wanted to, I could go back and get my degree in functional medicine. That would be a pretty, I mean, it's just like becoming a doctor. It's just looking at it from a more functional aspect than looking at, like, because when you get a medical degree, you're looking at things like being able to prescribe medications and help people in a different kind of way, where with functional medicine, you're looking at helping people through like food and through like healthy living. So I wouldn't go back and get a degree in what they offer now. I actually think that I'm hoping that those kinds of things, the way that they look at nutrition in our country and the way that they offer, like, you know, the way that they set up teaching people who help with nutrition, I hope that changes, because I don't think that it actually helps. I think there's a reason that people in our country struggle the way they do.
So I want to ask a question to the attendees here. So if you want, you can unmute and just say, instead of typing in the chat, really quick, 30 seconds. What's your takeaway from this webinar? So I would say my takeaway is I love the idea of popping those negative bubbles. I can visualize it, I can see it. I'm going to be doing that from now on. So if I have a negative thought, I'm going to be popping those bubbles. So what's your takeaway from this? What's one thing that you're going to remember tomorrow, next year, next week? Someone wants to share that?
I'll chime in. Yeah, my takeaway is that this health and wellness is an issue. I actually teach physical fitness, and I'm actually going through mindfulness and meditation training right now to become a life coach. So these are functional activities that you have prescribed today, that you have talked about today, things that are so easy that you forget. So I've written down two, just to be mindful when I'm eating, again, to be mindful in my space. And then the last one is to just be mindful of my feelings and how I'm feeling in situations. So you sparked that, and I want to thank you. And thanks again, Chris.
I'll chime in and share mine. I had two. I have to say the tongue scraper really stood out, just because like it's unusual. Not that I haven't heard that before, but just like one teeny tiny takeaway that you could literally do today. I often get overwhelmed with the to-do list that comes out of things like this. And the other piece I think is the be your own boyfriend. I mean, I have one, and he does wonderful things in helping me trying to manage my stress. But like, me being my own biggest champion, I think is an important takeaway.
Awesome. Anybody else wants to share their takeaway? So you don't want to call on you. I actually want to hear from Quintin, the one man on this on my screen. Quintin, what's your takeaway?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed this session. Basically, I pretty much try to keep a positive attitude about just about anything that I'm involved with, and that kind of goes back to there's a teacher I had back in actually junior high school, Mr. Abe. He was he's my drafting teacher, and he used to always say that positive thoughts bring about a positive outcome.
Yeah.
And he says that if you let negative thoughts enter into your life, negative things will happen. And I've kind of practiced that, throughout my life to try to, eliminate those negative thoughts and try to think positively about different things. As far as the nutrition related stuff, yeah, I mean, I try to drink more water now than I had before, because I realized the importance of that. As definitely as we all get older, and it's always good to be good to yourself and not to sit around waiting for somebody else to be good to you. I guess
Right.
is the way I've always looked at it. So, yeah, I think it was a pretty good session.
Thank you. Anybody else want to share? We have a few minutes left.
Is it okay if I just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
We have a few minutes left. Recently, since I actually put that together, I've become really interested in the ingredients that are in food, and packaged food, where there's going to be a list of ingredients and there are a lot of chemicals I don't think that we realize that we're eating. And the one thing that I'm hoping that is a takeaway, which I don't know if I said a lot about this, but really look at the ingredients in your food. I mean, just look at it. Just look at what you're eating. If you're about to eat something, look at what you're eating, look at the ingredients that you're putting in your body. Those chemicals are what you're putting into your body, and they are going to affect the way you feel, and they're going to affect your day. So, that's something that I really try to focus on now is just looking at what I'm eating and trying to focus on whole foods that grow from the earth, and, doing as much of that as I can in my day.
Yes, Jamie, you have your hand raised?
I do, thank you. So, Shauna, so here's a question. You mentioned that to acknowledge how you feel about something when you're doing something for your family or something of that regard, how you feel about it. Any tips on what you do with those feelings? Once you've acknowledged them, what do you do with them then?
You mean like if you have like a, give me an example. Give me an example of what you mean.
So maybe cooking dinner, for example. And like your house, my house is all grown people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe cooking dinner for, and you say, I really don't want to cook dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to cook dinner. So instead, what do you do with that? Do you just, if you're still going to end up having to cook, what are some healthy choices to acknowledge that you don't want to do it, but then what are the options afterwards, kind of, sort of?
Right.
Like, so I can imagine myself going, no, sir, I'm not cooking dinner today. Like, but maybe that's not the right way to handle it.
No, I think that for me, because I have 4 older children, and there are a lot of times that, I have to prioritize myself. And I don't come at it from a place. I mean, I used to come at it from a place where I felt like, you know what, I've worked all day. I don't want to cook dinner. Like it was aggressive. And now I'm like, I just can't today. You guys are on your own. I'm not angry. I just have to take care of myself some days. And I don't have small children anymore. And I know that's not everybody's life, but that's mine, and I have, I'm trying to run a business, and Some days I just can't do what people need me to do. And that's okay with me. And if it's not okay with them, then I look at more like that's something they have to sit with. I'm comfortable with that choice, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
give yourself a break, and don't second guess it.
Okay, thank you.
So someone had a hand raised. You want to unmute?
I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button, but
Ah.
since you did pick on me, Chris, I do have a question. And again, if the speaker doesn't feel comfortable answering it, please, by all means. I do divorce mediation for a living. And so I wondered how your divorce, it seems like you had a full family here, 4 kids, a husband. How did your divorce play a role in this mindset change, this life change? Did it happen before you decided to get a divorce, or did it happen during or after? Because that's a major life alteration.
Right. So I think what was happening with me was, for that 10 years that I was gaining weight, I think I was just, in the back of my mind, I was like, this marriage isn't working and I don't know what to do. And I just was raising these children and had this huge problem. And I never knew how to fix it. And then for me, when I tried CrossFit, and I was like, I was terrified of CrossFit. I knew that I wasn't healthy enough for it. I exercised, but I knew I wasn't in shape really. And when I walked into that gym that first day and I did it, I thought, for the first time, I can do things. I can do hard things. And after a few months of that, I started feeling stronger on the inside and on the outside. And I started thinking, I think I can, and the more I started feeling good, the less it made sense to be in a marriage or a relationship that was negative, because I wasn't negative. And, I think that I think I kept thinking, I have to leave the marriage. How am I going to do that? But that wasn't the first part. And that's sort of the whole circle of life. That wasn't my first battle. My first battle was doing something that I never thought I could do. And once I got through that, then I was able to handle the rest of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we are just at under a minute before noon. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Shauna, for sharing us your story, your journey, and that circle of tool life, which I'm sure all of us is going to start using now once I send out the presentation. And I hope to see all of you back next week for the final installment of the wellness series. I mean, that workshop is called Creating a Spiritual Business. That does not mean creating a religious business. That's not what I mean at all. It's creating that Zen-like calmness every day, instead of running around like Chicken Little when things go wrong or things aren't going quite right. And how are you going to become like that? How do you get that Zen-like spiritual quality in your life? It's by being very intentional with your actions. So next week, we are going to learn 7 intentional actions that you should take to become a successful small business. So I hope to see you then. Next week, next Thursday, same time, same back channel. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chris.
Just stop recording.
Thank you, everyone. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What great courage you have, young lady.
Thank you.